You familiar with who Rick Rubin is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. The music producer,
Yes. Yep.
the one with the
I don't
crazy
know
hair.
too much, but I'm
Yeah.
familiar with who he is. Yeah.
Okay. He wrote a book on the creative act, I think it's called.
Okay.
And it's autobiographical, but it's also like, I should read it before the end of the year. I promised myself last year, I'm going to pick this thing up every year and remind
Mhm.
myself of these little tidbits, because every chapter is just like a breath of fresh air,
Oh,
because
wow.
he
Nice.
doesn't actually, at least for the longest time, he never actually played an instrument.
Oh,
He just brings the people, that the music groups that he produces, he brings the best of who they are out of them by just
yeah.
listening and being present in the creative process.
So he has like that ear and that gift for
Yeah.
finding yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even music theory. It's like a unique sound or like something that they're trying to achieve. Like, cause he's produced any number of things from, bringing rap and hip hop in the 80s onto the scene,
I
into
thought
like
so.
into the
Mm,
mainstream, to like heavy metal, like Slayer. I mean, like he did like
wow.
like some very heavy bands, and kind of help them like take the next steps. And uh I think what was one of the more profound things he talks about is literally, he's like, create for yourself first. Like the second you start creating with somebody else's agenda, everything about the creative process is gone. Now,
Hmm.
I have to put a caveat in here. We all need to earn a living. So if I
Right.
had to write something for somebody and it's in a specific genre, obviously I have to bend my creative process to facilitate that specific space, right?
Mhm.
But it should still be authentic to me. If I'm not
Mhm.
happy with it, it shouldn't be a finished product, right? And ultimately, that's what he's trying to convey. He's like, it needs to be something that you get to a point where you're happy enough with it, and you're satisfied with it, and you're proud enough of it that you start sharing it with your friends. That point, it's probably done. That point, you need to polish it, finish it off, and share it with the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And just these little tidbits of it, it's just fascinating. It's fascinating, very insightful, and it recenters you when I have those moments where I have those moments of like, this is a lot of effort. Is it going to pay dividends? Like, is it going to pay the dividends I'm hoping it pays at some point down the road, kind of thing. I mean, at the end of the day, if it made a bunch of people happy, it paid dividends. It really
Mhm.
did. So
Mhm.
that aspect of it, I think I've already won, because I know of dozens of people minimum, and more than that. There's hundreds of people. There's more videos and more views on YouTube than I can possibly imagine at this point. And it hasn't been that long. There's some videos that my music is in that have been listened to like 1 million+ times. So,
That's amazing.
I
And
mean,
Tim, I can absolutely tell you that you definitely changed the trajectory of like my content creation journey. And
come on,
your
really?
music was so impactful. And I'm even going to tell you, like when I first saw you comment on one of my videos, I was so excited. I was like, Tim Coolig, like I think I talked about this in the last podcast too, but I don't know. I was just so shocked that you had popped up on my video because I loved your music so much, and just the ability to utilize your music and just how amazing you've been since then and reaching out with new music and everything. But just like your generosity and also your gift, and it has definitely impacted me, and I'm sure it's impacted tons and tons and tons of other content creators. So if for even a minute you question that, which of course we all do, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
natural and normal, but I'm just saying, I mean, I can say from the bottom of my heart that you have totally impacted my journey personally, and I'm sure so many more. So it's there's no question of like your impact and influence in the world. And I think that definitely counts for something in
Well, I,
terms
I
of,
appreciate that very much.
yeah, no, it's hugely like influenced me and helped me I didn't know where to get good music. It's been hugely, I'll say I'm so grateful, like so, so, so grateful for your work.
Well, I'm grateful that there's content creators like yourself out there that resonate with it and enjoy it. And I'm glad that I can continue to make things that enrich and, give a sonic narrative to whatever creativity that you're doing, and everybody else out there. That's the foundation of this journey for me. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I am so invigorated with energy to keep going, and that 1,000 is just a number. Like, it should be celebrated. It's a major milestone, but it's literally just it's a marker on the road that's like, Route 66 out west. Like, I've got a unknown number of miles ahead of me, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And it's rating to get that. Like, I'm sure you get some of that sometimes with the feedback. You don't always get the feedback you're looking for, or the consistency in feedback. And that's the thing I'm aspiring to as well, is that, if you're lucky if you get 1%, right? You're
Mhm.
lucky if you get 1%. And like half the time it's just a quick thumb up or a heart, that they like what is going on. And that should be enough. But man, those emails every once in a while, that I had somebody from, I host my music on my own website, SoundCloud, and Pixabay. And a lot of people grab my stuff from Pixabay and put it in their content.
Mhm.
And occasionally there's people from that platform that don't understand the YouTube Content ID thing and
Right,
how
right,
that
right.
works and why my
Mhm.
music is registered there.
Yep.
And for anybody that doesn't understand that, it's all about somebody hijacking your catalog because you give it away royalty free. What was happening on that platform is people were grabbing it, publishing it as their own, and then creating massive problems with content creators. So I didn't have a choice. I had to register it. But then I had a solution with channels that use my music and everything, like give them the ability to use it with no problems or whatever. They still give attribution, but you know, they'd reach out to me on there and they're like, "I'm so sorry, I got a copyright claim. I use your music. It says here that, like," they go through like the hoops, and I'd always come back. I'm like, "No problem. Thanks so much for your interest in my music. Here's what you need to do. Blah blah. Change this. Send me the link, or if they didn't send me the link, send me the link to the video. I'll tell you what's wrong." And then walk them through the steps. I'll tell you what, this past year, I've had like 3 or 4 of those instances. Right,
Mhm.
they turned around and sent me money in PayPal. Literally,
Oh,
like,
that's amazing.
just donated to, like, "I love your stuff. Thank you for being so responsive, blah, blah." But it's about, you said earlier, being generous and, reaching out and asking, like, what's coming up with your content, what kind of music that you need, far enough out so that I can allow the space and the creative process to take hold and be able to produce and provide something over the course of, sometimes it's several months. In the case of Kelly, who does the D&D podcast, I'd been trying to get some
Oh,
orchestral music together, and it took me longer because I was falling into this lo-fi, I was falling into meditation, I was falling into other stuff. And then I just released a 9-track album, and I sent him an email recently, like, "I finally got a bunch." I'm like, "Here, check them out. I just want to make sure that you're aware that they're out there." And he responded right away, and he was like, "Oh, there's a bunch in here I'd love to use." He's like, "Just reach out after the first of the year. Let's talk about some of the other projects I have coming up." And I'm like, "Great," because
nice.
it also helps to know, like, as a musician, it's nice to have a physical place to land on for the sonic narrative. Now, what does that mean? It means, like, it's not necessarily a direct project, but knowing, like, where it's going to end up gives me, like, a vision in my head. It's almost like giving me permission to channel a certain thing, knowing that there's a value add to be had if I do it right.
Mhm.
It sounds very heady and like 1,000 foot, but it does help. Like, it also helps that when I have a bunch of tracks that I'm trying to finish up and I can't really find the path to, like, finalize or master them, sometimes I'll go and jump ahead and I'll make the album cover art. And by doing that, it becomes real. It becomes
Mhm.
like a physical manifestation of the final compilation. And I'm like, and what's happened to me? I've literally had a batch of like 12 tracks, and I've had to put 3 or 4 of them aside. I'm like, they don't match the visual narrative. Like, those aren't ready. Those aren't ready. Like, and that helped me get that understanding. So it's like I have to pull from all these different areas of creativity to find my way to getting things finished, published, shared, and moved on. And
Mhm.
I realized this year, with the volume of music that I was making, that I couldn't do it alone anymore, because I was publishing things so fast, I couldn't promote it, you know? I couldn't
Right.
I couldn't share it fast enough. I'm like, I need help. Like, it's gonna cost me money, but I need help. I need somebody. I need
I can imagine. I
Yeah.
can imagine. I feel like like that pressure in terms of handling all of the social media like at the level that I want to, it's definitely a lot. And for you, when
Mhm.
you're pumping out 1,000 songs, you know, and jumping from seven, whatever it was, to 1,000 in
Yeah.
X amount of months, I can imagine that it's like, yeah, I need some help and that's okay. Like I give myself permission to need some help.
Yeah. 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 It
Yeah.
was, I'd been thinking about it for a while and I'd been dipping my toe into a couple different things. I had found somebody in the industry and we worked on like what was going to be a side project for a few months. But about 2.5 months into it, I realized it was more of a distraction than it was a contribution to what I wanted to do. And I figured out I can effectuate the things I wanted to do with that side project through my podcast and through mini clips more effectively. It may not get the purity of like its dedicated channel on YouTube or something, but I could always reconstitute or repurpose videos that I do that all fit a certain narrative to a new channel anyway. You know, like
Yeah.
that could be another thing too. I mean, that you were saying there's some content creators that you thought had one channel and had several. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Beast has like 10 or 12 channels at this point. And there's
Really?
there's all different, like one's like for his philanthropy and one's for, the comedy shorts and one's for this. Like, there's all sorts of things that that guy does. And
Mhm.
any major brand will do that. You know what I mean? Like okay, there's so much going on and there's so many different things we're into. Now we're going to isolate and we're going to be very specific. And I think that's a good problem to have,
Mhm.
down the road. If I have to split my channel up a little, fine,
Right. So you think that that is definitely a better strategy to take then if you're housing like a bunch of different types of content under one roof, then going the more specific multiple channel route is better, you would say?
It depends how different the content is, right? I mean,
Mhm.
now I think my channel's fine the way it is because all of it kind of revolves around the music and movie stuff that I do, right?
Mhm.
And those kind of go hand in hand. I'm doing promotions with the movies have my music in it,
Mhm.
and then the podcast talks about that and my music, and then I do things that show me making music or
Right, right.
quick clips promoting my stuff with a hyperlink back to the website. That's the other thing too. Like there's a whole thing on the internet about backlinks. So
Mm.
the more stuff you put out
SEO.
there,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the more content you do with backlinks to the things that you want to promote, the more you're going to get traction to your website, the more you're going to get traction to your social media platforms and everything. So you really kind of have to be an expert at this,
Mhm.
And I realized that after getting into it for 3 or 4 years, I'm like, yeah. And you kind of have to have somebody that's got their finger on the pulse of it the whole time. So you need a social media manager. You need somebody
Mhm.
that's like keeping an eye on that stuff and looking for trends and doing the back end research on some of your competitors. And I say competitors, it's the royalty free space. So it's other people that have a similar journey to me. But
Right.
I like to see channels, that are successful and what are they doing and how are they getting the reach? Is it just time served? Because sometimes that's all it is, right?
Mhm.
You spend enough time out there and you put yourself out there long enough, people start to notice. And I know that's a big percentage, like double digit percentage of it. But
Mhm.
I also want this stuff to do more work, more work than it,
Absolutely.
and it's doing a lot of work, but I want it to do more. I want more people to know what's going on.
Mhm.
So you talked a little bit about we're going long. I don't know how much longer, more time you have.
No, by
Uh,
all means. No,
okay,
I'm good. I
okay,
don't have a limit.
okay. I want to be sensitive to your time. That's all.
No, no,
Um,
absolutely.
so you said you talked about the channel shift a little bit, less frequent posting, and how you've been able to focus in a little bit more and get more creative in the process. Do you feel like when you were posting daily, it was a scramble to get the content up and less about the value add that the content was doing? Was it all, or were you always giving your all and you were kind of like getting emptier and emptier because you're just like every day you're on?
Yeah, I would say that probably, I mean, there were some points where I definitely like just because of the nature of posting daily, I felt rushed. Like
Mm,
I'm very, when I'm creating something, anything, even if it's just an energy healing video, I'm very intentional about the music that I choose, the artwork. Like I make all my thumbnails myself. I really I love to create. Like I love creating things no matter what it is. So I'm really intentional and thoughtful about putting the pieces together. And it's just this inherent feeling that I have in me when I know that it's right.
Hmm.
And I found myself not being able to reach that feeling as easily or as accessibly. It just wasn't possible. I would have to sacrifice one part of it, like I wouldn't be able to be as attentive to the music, or I wouldn't be able to get the thumbnail a certain way. And yes, there comes a point where like I also have to balance like, okay, is there like a little bit of perfectionism that's going into this and whatnot? But I'm just
Hmm.
talking about generally the way I create. Like I create based on feeling about how it feels. And I was definitely not able to do that in the way that felt the best to me to a certain point. And with the rest of my schedule, because I do like put so much into the video or, anything that I'm creating, I did start to get like, I can't do it like this anymore. I'm going to have to change the routine. And it did start to feel a little bit like my tank was getting empty. And also, I think there's something to be said about changing course when you know it's time to make a shift or, just going on with sort of like this autopilot routine that you've been doing just because you've been doing it. And that sort of became a thing for me too. I noticed like, okay, I'm used to making a video every single day. So now it's almost like I have to prove to myself that I can make a video every single day. I'm looking at myself in the mirror one day, like, why?
Right. Well,
Mm,
who are
why
you
would-
fighting with? Like
exactly.
who are you? What like what's the race against? It's you versus you, right?
Absolutely.
It's just really at the end of the day, it's only you versus as much as we think, you know, there are outside forces. I mean, there's your utilities, there's your rent, your mortgage or whatever. There's all these
Mhm.
motivators to get you to be successful at something and to do better and to, you know, generate more income, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, like we place the stresses on ourselves. I realize
Mhm.
that more and more as I age that like sometimes like it's not a negative, it's not a 4-letter word to take a break, like rest is so vital, so freaking
Mhm.
vital. You need to give your system time to unwind without those pauses. It's like a song that doesn't take a break, you ever watched a action film and you're about 20, 25 minutes in and there's been a series of action, like there's like a chase scene or whatever. Born Supremacy is a prime example that Matt Damon movie, like the third of the trilogy. I mean, and it ended up
Okay.
being like 5 movies, but the original 3 movies, the third movie, there's a chase scene and then it's really exciting and there's like very exciting energy going on and music and like finally there's a break and like at first time I watched it, I had a physical like, oh my God, that was exhausting. Like,
Mhm.
and it was done on purpose. I mean, all that tension and everything was done purposely because it was supposed to be suspenseful. It's like the culmination of the
Absolutely.
first two
Like
and a half
building.
movies. Yeah, yeah. Your buddy coming by to say hello?
Yeah.
Which
Sorry.
that's all right. He's around here somewhere. Oh, he's over here. You want to say hi?
Hello.
Say that.
Cutie.
See, you have to protect everything. You've been really quiet. I appreciate it.
It, it's a he or a she?
He, yes,
He. Right. Remind me of his name.
Kimby,
Kimby.
Kimbe. Yeah.
Kimby and Kuka.
Oh yeah.
So
I s-
on my camera screen, like because we're more like a square here, so part of it's cut off. But
mhm.
when I'm looking at myself in the camera screen, I'm seeing him right here. So let me see, Kuka, come here. You got to go down, okay? Say
He
hi.
has it so bad, by the way. I think I noticed on YouTube that there was a picture of you with a carrier pushing him around. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, yes, you saw the stroller.
luckiest cat
I
alive. Like,
have to. I have to. Oh my gosh, that stroller was actually a gift. And at first I thought, can I really do this? And I was like, yep, you know what? I'm going to do it.
yeah. Does he love it?
Yeah.
Does he love being outside like that?
He used to like the stroller more, but lately it's almost like he's afraid of it. I'm not sure. He doesn't like everything has to be perfect. For example, he doesn't like the wind. If there's any wind outside,
Mm-mm.
he's not a fan, but he loves to be outside. So it's sort of like the happy medium besides, and he's an indoor cat strictly. Like I
Yeah.
could never just let
So
him
is he.
out, unfortunately, which I wish I could. Like I wish I had a fenced in backyard to where I could let him roam and get his exercise and stuff. So the stroller, I even tried the collar and the leash believe it or
Really?
not.
Yeah.
However, it definitely did not work out. He doesn't like having anything on him. The stroller was the medium between in order to get him outdoors, but keep him safe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't love it. He doesn't like being constrained into anything either. So I think he feels like he's boxed in there, but he does it for like 20-minute increments at a time, which is good. I mean, at least
Okay.
he gets outside. So yeah, it gives him a little bit of the best of both worlds.
This one jumps in like, you know, paper, like baker's boxes, like those business boxes that you store like files and stuff in, like empty
Uh-huh.
one of that. I'll just literally scream. I'm like, get in the box. He like jumps in the box. I'll put the cover on it. He'll stay in there for an hour. He doesn't
Oh
care.
my gosh. Do you ever take him places in the box?
He hates the outside world. I have a
Oh,
lanai
really?
on my townhome down here, and
Okay.
it's screened in and stuff. So it's basically just a screened in porch. I say that to people up north all the time. I have a lanai. They're like, what's a lanai? That sounds all highfalutin. And I'm like, it's just a screened in porch. It's just a southern term for it. But he'll creep out there and kind of sniff around and stuff. But then like
Mhm.
he doesn't like to be out there very long.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
so surprised about that. Wow.
he's got one of his legs ever since he was a baby was kind of, he favored it a little bit. And I think it just
Okay.
is a slight birth defect because he can walk on it. He just can't support a lot of weight on it. So like, I think maybe
Oh,
like one of the main tendons or something never connected properly or something.
yeah.
And I don't know why I never got it checked out, but I didn't like the idea of like putting, he doesn't like, I've checked it out myself and like just made sure like it's not broken or something. You know what I mean? Like this
Right,
wasn't like
right,
that.
right, right.
Because like baby kittens can jump from a high and like dislocate a leg or something, and I'm sure if
Uh-huh.
that was the case, he'd wince and like bite at me if he was experiencing pain. And
Definitely. He definitely would. How old is he?
he's 6 or 7 now.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
he's getting up there. Originally didn't want a cat, and then my daughter got one for herself and couldn't keep him because she was highly allergic to it. And I'd made her a promise, if that
Wow.
happens, that I'll take him back to my place. And I'm like, I always say the same thing. I'm like, God damn it, I gotta have this cat. And then a month later, I'm like, God damn it, I love this cat.
Right. Like they have a way of just weaseling themselves into our lives and making us
Yeah,
absolutely fall in love with them.
right, buddy. Yeah. And he's very vocal. He's very vocal.
Oh,
He
really?
I go away for a little while, come home, and I walk in the door, and he'll like 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 meow coming down the stairs, and he'll just like in
Oh,
the kitchen, he'll just like look up at me and meow the whole time and talk to me for the first 5 minutes I get home. So he's very, very vocal, aren't you, buddy?
oh, that's so cute. Maybe he's singing to you.
Well, I don't know what he's doing, but he's definitely telling me what's on his mind. I can see it in his
Oh,
face sometimes too. Like, sometimes he's got the slow blink is like, I missed you, I love you, and then he's got a look on his face sometimes, like even with like they say like if the ears are pinned back, they're upset, but I don't
mhm.
find that to be the case all the time. Sometimes that's just like, I'm getting ready for you to pet me. Go,
Right. It can
you know?
definitely be that. Like, I have a book about decoding cat language too.
Oh,
And it's
really?
interesting because some of it I find accurate sometimes, but not always. Like, I feel like it really depends on the situation. Like, sometimes there's different movements that can be done. Even the purr, for example.
Yeah,
Oh, hello. Hello. Even the purr, like the purr can be, I'm happy, I'm relaxed, um, I'm affectionate, but the purr can also be I'm in pain. So
yeah,
I feel like a lot of the language is like that. It's not cut and dry or black and white.
yeah. Sometimes he
So
mimics me. He'll mimic me. Like
really,
he'll meow a lot, and then I'll like playfully mock mimic him a little bit, and I'm like and kind of like distort my voice a little bit, and he'll like
mhm,
mimic it. He'll like
he'll
meow the
meow
same
back.
way.
Oh,
Yeah, but like the same way, like shift his meow to be like a little hoarse in the throat instead. Like if
oh
I
my
do it, like I'm
goodness.
like,
Wow.
you're crazy.
That's adorable.
He knows I'm talking. His tail's doing this right now. He knows I'm talking about him.
And I love how he's just sitting right behind you while you're filming and no worries. He's just
Yeah.
keeping an eye on you.
Well, that happens with podcasting, but it also happens. He's got like a giant condo behind me with a perch on the top of it, and
Oh my gosh.
he'll sleep at the top of it and listen to me play. Then he'll wake up, and I'll hear like a like he woke up from a dream, and then he comes down and gets some food, and he comes up to me for like reassurance, like, like I'm like, you have a bad dream, buddy.
That's
So
adorable. Oh, they're the best. They're
it's
so
he's
best.
fantastic to have around the studio.
Mhm.
He's a big motivator. In the morning, his water, I've got like a cascading water thing, and also
Oh, like the automatic ones?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
because if I go away for a few days, I don't like the idea of leaving like stagnant water for him. That's not
Right.
healthy for him. But also, I don't always have somebody that can come and check on him. But I can
Mhm.
usually leave him alone for like 3, maybe 4 days, and then
Oh, really?
at that point, because I have an automatic litter thing, I have an automatic
How about
food,
feeding?
the automatic timed food thing
Wow.
with a camera on it. So
Oh,
I
wow.
I can literally see the bowl and see if he's been eating or not. And if it looks low, I can on an app on my phone, I can just feed him again. So
High tech.
yeah,
Wow. I have to look into that. I could never leave him because he's like he's never been alone for a very long period of time. So
yeah,
that's actually awesome that you're able to leave your cat and he's independent enough to take care of himself. If you want to go away for the weekend or something, that's a
yeah,
really awesome.
yeah. He's not destructive. So like the
Hmm.
worst, and he's not one of those cats that like barfs up for. It's just gross. I'm sorry, but like
It's
throws up
okay.
fur balls and stuff all the time. Occasionally he'll do that, and it's rare. And I'm like, dude, you
Hmm.
feeling all right? He's like, "Meow," like he didn't
Oh,
process it right or whatever. But like for a cat that he throws some fur, not a ton, but like also all of my carpet kind of hides it anyway. So when I go and
mhm.
vacuum, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, there's half a cat here.
Yeah, you ever find trust me, the same thing happens to me because
Yeah,
he does get furball issues from time to time, and it's like, I'm always vacuuming just because he's always shedding, so
yeah,
once in a while, I'll come around and I'll be like, "Oh, guess I missed this." Like, "Oh, this was hiding back behind here for how long?"
yeah, right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Well, so you're focusing on more once a week, right?
Yes.
And has anything shifted as far as the content itself? I imagine when you were doing high volume content, you found your way around a circle, right? Because there's elements that come back into play that you explore in the
Mhm.
Reiki space, right? Like I can't for whatever reason I can't think of one off the top of my head at the moment, but it's just a central focus of releasing past trauma. Let's say like with that one,
Mhm.
and I've seen that your content finds a path and finds a journey and eventually kind of does that, comes like full circle and just
Mhm.
takes that journey. And then maybe the next time you do it, you have a different approach to it, or there's a different feeling to it. My question was going to be, uh, with the infrequent, like now that the frequency is less, do you feel like the sessions that you create have more intensity and more surgical accuracy when it comes to the thing that you're doing, or is it just less frequent? Like what have you felt like personally as you've kind of slowed down the frequency of your publishing?
Yeah, what I'd say, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily more potent or like surgically accurate in a way.
Yeah,
Because I feel like whenever I'm sitting down to do a session, like I can't go through with it. Like I can't film unless I'm really like there and like fully focused on it. Like I have to cut out that time and do nothing else and have my
right,
mind be nowhere else, or else I just can't do it. Like I would rather, like, let's say I'm planning to film 4 days in a row at X amount of time. I would rather skip 1 or 2 days and be fully present
mm,
while doing it, just because it's just the nature of it. It kind of requires that. At least for me, I just wouldn't feel right doing it another
okay,
way. But what it has allowed me to do, posting less, it's actually brought more in terms of how I'm working, and it's like shifted my methodology a little bit. So you know what the bottom line is, it's created space,
mm,
which was so, so, so important. And I know we touched on this earlier, but that's huge. That's huge. And it made such a difference. Like, for example, like I have this part of me when I was posting every day, as I was talking about a little while ago, that was very adamant that I keep posting every day. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's used to it. It's like this manager part of me that says, okay, it's 2 p.m. You have to go film and get ready to post
yeah,
type of thing. And I had to really work with that part of me and say, look, I'm going to give you a new job now because this no longer makes sense for what we're doing.
Mhm.
Like, I was so grateful to that part of me, that disciplined part that wanted to support me in my work and everything. But it got to the point where it just didn't make sense. When I started to like really shift, I realized that it just opened this creative wellspring in me. And it also opened my ability to like tune in and hear the guidance and the flow that was coming through. So what it allowed me to do was refine the sessions that I was already doing, like,
Okay.
and also just in the past few months, since I have been posting less, even though I had like allowed me to shift my schedule in the way that, um, I had more time to focus, more time in between what I was doing to breathe, to, to go a little bit slower, and that alone opened these like floodgates of information to where I was basically receiving like a completely new structure for my sessions and whatnot.
Wow.
When I say that I have learned so deeply about creating space this year, like it's amazing to me that when I get rid of the noise, and I'm able to sort of take those parts of me that are adamant about doing this or that, work with them, and then open myself up to the new and the possibility there. What comes through is like magical. And I know I'm saying this in like a certain way, but I'm sure it's the exact same way for you when you're creating and you're making music. Like if you push yourself to do something in like a very rigid way, it closes the doors of opportunity and what wants to flow through you. It's sort of the same way,
Yeah.
like if you're creating something based upon, like we were talking about earlier, what the audience is looking for, or what, if something is solely based upon someone else's input and you're not honoring your own, then you're also not allowing that essence to flow through you because I truly believe and know that we're all here to bring something into the world. All we have to do is be ourselves.
Yeah.
And
That's the hardest thing in the world to do.
it is the hardest thing in the world, a million percent. It's the hardest thing in the world. However, it's also, it's like the hardest and the easiest thing. But because if we can get to the point where, which we're all on that journey of just dialing into who we truly are, then it just flows. There's just so many obstacles and blockades and armoring in the way of doing that, obviously, for most people,
It's
all of us.
amazing.
We all have that stuff.
It's amazing how much of those obstacles are self-defined, you know?
Ah.
Like
Mhm.
we've grown up with these definitions and a lot of them aren't even ours. It's a parental thing, you know?
Mhm.
Like, you
Inherited.
know, something inherited from the things that were said to you as a child, something that a boss that was very influential said to you. It could have been positive, could more likely been negative, and, that created these constraints on this infinite possibility that is you, right?
Mhm.
And really the only limitation is your own belief system and your own mind. I mean, there's some people out there that have pure raw talent in various aspects of their lives. But then when you dig in and look at some of these people that are some of the top 0.001% of
Mhm.
whatever field that they're an expert in, let's just say like, extreme athlete. If you unravel and peel away the layers of the onion, you realize that, you know, none of that was an accident. Most of those people were engineered from birth, like with pure discipline. They're only that good because that's what they focused on, An
Mhm.
Olympic athlete has been doing it since they could basically walk, and it's just a testament to discipline. Discipline trumps anything. Anything.
Mhm.
Consistency and discipline trumps anything. You want to accomplish anything in your life? How much do you want it? That's what the universe says. It's like, how much do you want it? That's going
Mhm.
to take so many man hours or to literally get to that point where you will be adept enough that you'll start turning heads and everything. Like you have to get to this point and it's going to take this much effort. Are you willing to put in the work? Because that's what it
Mhm.
comes down to. It comes down to the discipline of putting in the work.
Yeah. Are you willing to put in the work and are you able to hold it while you're not getting the feedback, like the reward that you're looking for? Are you able to just go based on that pure calling and passion? And are you able to hold that for long enough for it to actually materialize and manifest? physically as well. It's like bringing that vision into reality. And yes, so much of it is discipline, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. I got real serious about publishing music in August of 2021.
Okay.
Prior to that, I had 2 albums out there. So 3 years ago, wait, 2020 was 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 years ago, August. That was my 4-year anniversary, basically, of publishing. Now working on the 5th
Yeah.
year, and it is the discipline is what did it. That's all it was. It wasn't. It was stopping questioning things, stop worrying about what people think, and what, and not in a. I always say that like I don't care what anybody thinks, not in that weird negative connotation of being egotistical or anything, but just I'm gonna do my art, and either you're gonna resonate with it or you're not, and either way, that's totally fine, And it's
I like to call
funny.
it detaching with love.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how fewer people have been critical the second I made that shift. Like when I made that shift and truly meant it here, that I don't care. I'm going to make this stuff and I'm going to share it and that's fine. Far fewer people more of them are like, dude, what are you doing next week? Like, what do you got coming out? You're like putting out an album a week. And that's usually the people that see the posts. And like at the time when I'm putting out like one a month or one every other, twice a month or something like that. But the optics they see are, yeah, like you're doing work, you're doing the work, you're doing the thing. And that doesn't go unnoticed. And I think that's where what you said earlier, that, trusting the process, trusting the universe for things to flow through you and knowing when discipline doesn't work. Because like you said earlier, there's days that you could sit down and you're going to do something and you're not feeling it. And it's not just a case of the screw it, I don't want to work today. It's a case of, no, I literally can't get to that place right now. And it's probably because I've got something that I need to work out or get a distraction or just have a different experience so I can come to here and be present. Because nobody can be present 100% of the time. It's just not possible,
Absolutely.
There's days that I sit down and want to ideate and I'm like, nah, I'm going for a walk. Do like a 5-mile walk and I come back and I'm like, now I can focus.
Because whatever was within you that wanted to, the energy that wanted to move or rearrange had the opportunity to reorganize. And instead of forcing it, you took that signal and you listened and you let it flow through you in the form of a walk and it opened the space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the same.
absolutely. Like, and anything that I feel like people, and I was the same way. People tend to associate discipline with force or with resistance.
Or a negative connotation.
Yeah, make a negative connotation or associate it with, force or resistance. But really, discipline actually not only opens the road, but it makes the path easier too over time. It may not be easier when you're first starting or when you're, going on certain days where it's feeling monotonous or repetitive, but eventually that structure begins to hold you. And that's necessary for anything that you're creating or building or trying to maintain, especially because that's the other thing. You can create something, you can build something, but can you maintain it? And that's a really important element of it too. I think that anything that we're forcing too much, just like you talk about, you're trying to sit down and come up with ideas and create, if it's not flowing at the time, that type of force then almost cuts us off from that signal. But I find that with the right ratio of structure and with flow, it's just like masculine and feminine energy from an energetic perspective. But with the right ratio of structure and flow, and as long as we're opening that, it's like insight or like a movement within, something is always trying to move from within through us, authentically through us. And I find that if I can just tap in and hear that call, which is a lot easier said than done, but as often as possible, if I'm able to listen to which direction that energy wants to move in, that's when the best ideas comes. That's when things flow the smoothest. That's when things just work out.
Yeah. And sometimes that message is, don't work on this right now. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the weirdest message. It's like, well, I'm trying to gain traction. I'm trying to gain momentum forward. Yeah. To go forward, you need to stop for a minute.
Yes, yes. And that's like the force. It's like dispelling that force and reclaiming that creation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I find that
Absolutely.
especially this year, I had to be really in tune with that. And
Mhm.
I felt that wall you were talking about towards the end of 900. And that's why I pivoted and I was like, okay, I know I can do this 20 or so, but I'm going to be left with like a few at the end. And I don't know if I have any more after that. Cause like, I know I can push this out. And, but every one of those next pushes felt
Mhm.
like, oh, it felt like so, like I was giving so much. And it was, as I gave so much more, that barrier you're talking about kept getting thicker and thicker. And I'm like, nothing's going to flow through me if I keep going at this. Like I'm going to hit a wall and then I'm going to be in a rut for 3 or 4 months. I don't want to
Mhm.
do that, you know? So I literally, that's why I gave myself that break. And that's why I said, yeah, okay, you don't have to go beyond 1,000. You can do these three singles and they're fine. They'll do work just as they are. They were pretty much done anyway. You're just trying to build, you know, and encapsulate like another 7 tunes around each one of them because they were all different genres. Like that, they were 3 separate ones.
Mm.
One was like a Renaissance song. One was a spaghetti Western song, and then the other one was, gosh, I forget. Actually, I have the thumbnails in front of me.
Wow,
Uh,
so you're able to just jump between genres, like,
yeah,
and
that's
create.
weird. And what ends
Wow,
up
that's
happening,
awesome.
Olivia, what ends up happening is that they start influencing each other a little bit. So I'll do
Interesting.
horror for a little while, and I've got a big catalog of that, obviously, and people like the stuff that I come up with, even though I don't really watch it.
Mhm.
Like I watch the goofy, campy stuff with a couple friends of mine because it's just that's what they're into, and but like the real, like the really negative, horrible. I'm like, I don't. It's too close to real. I'm like, no, thank you. Like you can use my
Right, right.
music in it if you want, but I don't think I need to see that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
No.
understand.
But it's funny how I'll dive into like comedy or like 8-bit video game music or, you know, jazz or something, and then come back to a genre like that or orchestration. And then they're somehow influenced by that other stuff.
Mhm.
And not so much that like suddenly it sounds like this orchestral video game music. No, no, no. It's some new articulations. Like I find new ways to play those instruments by delving into the
Mm.
other genres. So I could never relate to somebody that all they do is one style. I
Right.
just I wouldn't be satisfied because I feel
Mhm.
like whatever the channel is, oh, there's so much more going on. You know, like the
Mhm.
fact that I've done genres I've never even thought of touching on before, and like the spaghetti western thing this year, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, why didn't I write this before? Why didn't I try? Because there was some predefinition of my, oh, why would you write that? You don't know anything about that. So what?
Mhm.
So let's explore it. Let's figure it out. You
Yeah, I
know?
never thought about it that way, but it sounds like they all sort of contribute to each other in
Yeah.
a way too and play off of each other. That's an interesting benefit. At first I would think, "Oh, wow, how can you jump from like horror to, that?" I can imagine that it's probably like just different expressions of the same inspiration coming
Hmm.
through in a way. So they can all sort of like lend something to the other, which is
Yeah.
really interesting.
I have to be careful not to introduce like the darkness of horror into something that's supposed to be uplifting, you know,
Hmm.
or vice versa, right?
Right.
Although that kind of juxtaposition might not be the end of the world either, because sometimes you're looking for something that's novel. And
Right.
if something's a little strange and a little off, but still like a little scary, but it has like a little comedic flair to it, there's a purpose for that. There's a use for that somewhere, you know,
Hmm.
where it's a little
Yeah, no,
lighter.
those fusions are probably sometimes like the coolest, most unique ones that come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something that's horror but a little light and playful would be like there's like series like Five Nights at Freddy's. There's like a movie that's coming out and it's like a pizza place or something with a bunch of animatronics that come to life and they like kill things but it's campy. You know what I mean? And it's campy is inherently a little comedic and there's some comic relief to it. And
Hmm.
in that series anyway, like the right people get they're just dessert. You know what I mean? It's not just taking out the wrong people. It's like
Hmm.
I think they were possessed by a bunch of children that died in this place or whatever. But
Oh,
in that case, like having that little like comedic slash horror, like that's a weird juxtaposition of styles, but it fits in that particular scenario, you know? Um, but I always look at that. I always look at that as a possibility because I'm just literally like, how do I make it different? How do I make it? What am I hearing? And what if I put this instrument next to this one, even though it's this style and it typically doesn't have that in there? I'm like, why not?
Mhm.
Let's, why not? Let's give it a whirl. You know,
Right, give it a try, why not? Yeah.
that's the whole foundation of being an artist, or being creative is to create something new that's innovative and exciting and share it with the world and see what people have to say about it, or just to enjoy it
Absolutely, and
yourself, you know?
totally, and even if there isn't necessarily some this is another kind of trippy thing to think about, but even if there isn't necessarily some huge place for that creation to land right now or somewhere where that track is being utilized, say,
Yeah.
if you think about I mean, as long as the internet's around, who knows what's going to happen in terms of the world and the internet. But the music that you're making now has the potential to be around for years and years and
Yeah.
years, even after you've left.
Right.
That's
Right.
kind of a wild thought if you think about it. Like with the advent of the internet and the creation that we're putting into this collective database of information online and how that could be around for so long after we depart here. Like, who knows? Someday that crazy fusion of, some strange track or something
Yeah.
has like the perfect use case. And
And it's,
someone down the road is like, who is Tim Kulig?
yeah,
Who is this
right.
guy?
What a bizarre thing to think about, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
they're probably like, he was ahead of his time.
that would be a cool thing to be remembered for.
Yeah.
Like looking back at like Bach or Mozart and Beethoven, like,
Hmm.
those guys were pretty like happening for their time frame. But they also
Hmm.
didn't write all that stuff themselves. Like they often like had these ideas. What's crazy is the people that would write it down. Like they'd sit there and they'd like they would say like, oh, this is what the oboe should do, and they would just kind of hum it, and somebody would
Hmm.
transcribe that into
Oh.
actual sheet music notes and stuff. So it's like people forget like it's or people don't really know that in a lot of ways, a lot of that stuff was like a collaborative effort. They had other people help them write, just like major composers for movies these days, like Hans Zimmer or Danny Elfman. They have a
Hmm.
team that comes up with melodies and cues and transitions and stuff like that, and then it's all under their quote unquote brand umbrella. It's all like a Danny Elfman or a Hans Zimmer composition. But,
Hmm.
you get to a certain point and you're doing those kind of like they're such high level productions that you need a team to help you out. And that's kind of what I determined with the social media. I'm like, I need a team, man. I can't do this by myself.
Right, right. I think like most mainstream artists in this day and age, it's a huge team collaborative effort.
Yeah.
So, like the average listener probably listens to the song and thinks like, oh, wow, this is such an interesting creation that's
Yeah.
coming from this one artist. But really, like there's this huge collective effort behind it. And
Yeah.
I don't think that most people probably realize that. And when I think about Beethoven or, some artists of the past, I don't think about that either.
Yeah. I
But
think of them as like one until I found out that that
yeah,
wasn't
just
the
one
case.
individual. But
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Like I never really thought about it that way either. But
Yeah.
wow.
What's crazy. So we've got like 2 hours of content here, and there's going to be a ton of little shorts. So we could probably cut it off here, but it was absolutely wonderful catching up with you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I feel like we covered a wide array of things and
Yeah.
topics and touched on a lot of different things. And it's just nice to have the chance to just kind of like flow
Yeah.
with each other and catch up. And yeah, this was really fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And I'll be reaching out after the first of the year. I am definitely going to take the time for myself. And it was some partially inspired by your email response saying, take a break. make
Yeah.
sure make sure you're recharging. You know what I mean? Like that actually, I have to tell you that partially convinced me to get to 1,000 and put it down
Hmm.
because I was going to keep going. I was going to be like a juggernaut going into the end of the year. Like, can I do 1,020, 1,004? I'm like, relax. You hit,
Yeah. you probably would have, but I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you are taking a break
Yeah.
because listen, like for me personally, like I'm the type of person that really needs my time and my rest and just like I just need like the quiet spaces in between
Mm.
the recharge time. Like that's really important to my being. Like
Yeah.
every fiber of me needs it's almost like less of the rigid, like as good as discipline is, I also need the space in between. Like it's really, really important for me to recharge. And I think that you're going to take that break, like whatever, through the holidays and into the new year. And you're going to come back probably having accomplished this massive thing, this 1,000 songs and everything else in between and all the social media stuff. And now you have the social media manager going.
Yep.
You're going to come back from that break and you're going to be so full of inspiration and ideas. And there's going to be so much space that's created during that time. Like I know all of this intellectually, but this past year has taught me that on such a deep, visceral level. Like I have just come to understand the value of creating that space in a way that I just could never have grasped before. So
Right. You had to live
it's
it.
so
Right.
important.
Yeah. You had to live it and
Yeah,
experiencing it
absolutely.
personally. And you're right. There's a big difference between intellectualizing something and actually feeling it
Definitely.
through and through your whole being. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll definitely be reaching out after the first because I do want to explore the vibrational stuff. And
Mhm.
I'm going to do some precursor research on it now so that I have a basis for it, but I'll probably throw some stuff at you and get
Yeah,
a
I would
feeling
love
for it
that. I would love
because
that.
that'll be helpful. It's helpful to know what helps resonating wise with the sessions and stuff. And if any of these would be specific to like various aspects of it. Cause like I have to find like a good resource for it online. Not one
Mhm.
that like thinks they know what they're talking about, but like understands frequencies specifically. And it comes up on my feed all the time on TikTok. So I should really take a look at that. Cause like there's a whole science and industry of people selling tuning forks and stuff. And like, this used to be the thing, like that people would like literally like resonate,
Absolutely.
like this is supposed to heal this. And like, we are
Mhm.
vibrational beings.
Yeah, I'm reading a great book actually right now. Speaking of tuning forks,
Mm,
by her name is Eileen McCusick.
okay.
And it's all about tuning forks, but not just tuning forks. It's like a lot about quantum physics too. And it's all about the human biofield. And I've just really, it's been really interesting to hear her perspective on things and hear a lot of, you know what it's been? It's been like confirming to do the work that I'm doing and then hear her take on so many different things and her observations of working with tuning forks, which is like a more physical tool in
Sure.
terms of her, because she's a energy healer, she heals with tuning forks. But it's so interesting. Like it's just made me like I've always honored music and loved music and like I make music myself. Like I write lyrics and I sing and I rap a little bit too.
Yeah.
So
Which you've
it's
never
like
shared with me, by the way, but I'd
no,
love to
I
hear some of
haven't.
it.
That's another thing. Like, Tim, I am hearing the call that I need to like put out more of that side of me too.
Sure.
So I'm like really feeling that pull. That's another thing that has come through the space. So that's like another thing on the table that I'm like going to be
Very good.
really, really, really working to prioritize. There's like
Awesome.
a lot of things coming, but yeah, I just wanted to say that like reading this book has just given me such like made me look at music in such a deeper and just it's just really like anchored in my understanding of frequency and
Hmm.
all of this stuff that we're talking about. It is so amazing the implications that music can have and like whether it's frequency or not, it's undeniable that music impacts the human being and that music can heal the
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's just, that's something that I could spend like hours and hours thinking about and talking about and contemplating in itself. So yeah, I think it's a really cool direction that you're going in for sure.
Cool. Cool. I'll definitely share that part of the journey with you and
Yeah, I would love to.
this,
And I
this
really
stuff
look
I'm coming
forward
up
to
with
it.
for sure. But well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, it's been great. Everybody, thanks for checking in with Tim Kulik Free Music, and we'll talk to you again soon.